Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter
Thank you for
Theory.
your welcome. I'm very
Today,
happy to be
we're
here.
going to be discussing the 5 most powerful witches and
This
wizards
should be
that
interesting.
came from Slytherin House
I
at
already have
Hogwarts.
2 in mind.
Now, of
One
the
for
4
sure.
houses at Hogwarts, we know Slytherin as the house that gets a bit of a bad rap. There's not a
For good
single witch
reason.
or wizard who went bad
This
who
is a bad
wasn't in
statement,
Slytherin,
but
Hagrid famously
it
remarks.
still holds up in
But
court.
in reality, becoming bad or evil is not actually a defining characteristic of a Slytherin student, and Hagrid's remark is actually quite inaccurate. Their poor reputation with the other houses aside, Slytherin House has produced some of the greatest and most powerful wizards.
The Slytherin has produced some of the best wizards in the Harry Potter universe. But its reputation is tarnished because it has also been equaling or superseded by the amount of bad wizards that they have produced, which is a staggering number. No, not the number, the quality of the bad wizards they have produced. That's the statement I want to go with. That's why it supersedes the good wizards they have produced.
The world has ever seen. Salazar Slytherin, one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, valued students who were clever, resourceful, and determined,
There's nothing wrong
but
with
also
that.
those who, in Dumbledore's words, had a certain disregard for the rules.
That's
These were
a
all
bit shaky.
characteristics that matched the founder's own values. Interestingly enough, Dumbledore would also later note,
How did these 4 get together? That's why there needs to be a freaking fully fledged out TV series. Is there a book? No, there isn't. At least the story of the founders, the founding of Hogwarts. How they even got together in the first place, because there's 4 contrasting personalities. Are you telling me like these were 4 childhood best friends? It makes no sense. That's why it needs to be explained.
that these were actually all characteristics of Harry Potter. However, as we know, he was placed in Gryffindor over Slytherin after some deliberation by the Sorting Hat. Slytherins have a lot going for them, and are often strong leaders, as we have seen in Tom Riddle, and well, Salazar Slytherin himself.
Strong leaders
They are
or
also
dictators?
highly ambitious,
There's a
cunning, and
difference.
achievement-oriented. Unlike the other founders, Salazar Slytherin had a tendency to favour pure-blood students over muggleborns and half-bloods for his house, and this is actually something that the Sorting Hat takes into account when sorting students. Ron is pretty open about his opinion of Salazar Slytherin.
If
I
he was an
always
ass.
knew Salazar Slytherin was a twisted old loony, but I never knew he started all this pureblood stuff. I wouldn't be in his house if you paid me. Honestly, the Sorting Hat had tried to put me in Slytherin, I'd have got
That's
the train
such a
straight
wrong
back
thing
home.
to say.
It's not uncommon for Slytherin students to form groups, which leaves the opening
Gangs
for someone to
is not a
assume the
better
role
word.
of group leader. We see this with Malfoy and his gang, as well as Tom Riddle, who formed his own gang while at school. The same gang that would go on to become the Forerunners to what would become the Death Eaters. So, they're powerful, but who are the 5 most powerful to have ever lived? Let's jump into it. Number 5. Bellatrix Lestrange.
Wow, she makes
Bellatrix
top
Lestrange,
5.
born Bellatrix Black of the House of Black,
Warranted.
was an English pureblood witch who would have attended Hogwarts around 1962. Bellatrix was the eldest of her siblings and is the older sister of Andromeda Tonks and Narcissa Malfoy. It should come as no surprise that Bellatrix was sorted into Slytherin House during her time at the school. Shortly after leaving, she became a Death Eater and became known by many as one of Voldemort's most loyal and dangerous followers.
And his baby
She
mama.
was widely considered to be one of the most feared witches in the wizarding world. Her fear-inspiring name and bloodthirsty reputation were well deserved, and she was
Bellatrix Lestrange. Gosh, the actress right now, I can't think of her name, but my god, as pure evil psychotic, I would go as far to say I think maybe Bellatrix Lestrange was even more crazy than Harley Quinn. But though she was so one of my favorite characters because the actress played it so well, played the role so well, incredibly well. Bellatrix Lestrange in Harry Potter 5, oh my gosh. I killed Sirius Black! That line lives in my head. So brilliant. So freaking good. And then you see the actress and it's such a contrast of personalities, which makes me love her even more. It was so good. I wish we could see some more of Bellatrix Lestrange. Gosh, a series following young Bellatrix Lestrange. That would be so good. Gosh, there's so many more stories to explore in the Harry Potter world. I want to know.
Known to have murdered and tortured numerous witches and wizards, including Neville Longbottom's parents. Her magical abilities were more than impressive, as she was trained in the dark arts by Lord Voldemort himself.
I mean, that's like
She
having Michael
displayed a
Jordan as your
particular
teacher.
proficiency and affinity for the Cruciatus Curse, and she claimed to have a
She loved
knowledge
that
of dark
curse.
spells that was hard to comprehend. This claim was backed by Voldemort himself. Bellatrix was also a known proponent of the Killing Curse, but she often didn't use it until she had sufficiently tortured her victim.
Yeah, she
She
she's
has a
not
track
like
record of taking on numerous
history
auras
girl.
and Order of the Phoenix members, and she was even known to have deflected a spell from Albus Dumbledore himself, making
damn.
her the only Death Eater to escape from him. This is just
Damn.
another example of her formidable magical abilities that reinforces her position on this list. Number 4. Severus Snape. Severus Snape was born
One
in
of the
1960 to a Muggle father and
The
witch mother.
goats.
Snape began attending Hogwarts in 1971, along with Harry's mother, Lily Evans.
And Harry's father.
Despite not being a pureblood, Snape was sorted into Slytherin, while Lily was sorted into Gryffindor. This was very hard on Snape, as he was in love with Lily from a very young age. While still very young, Snape began to practice the dark arts, fueled by the rage stemming from
I will forever champion this, that we need. I don't know, I doubt it's like it's copyrighted by Disney. It can't, it's impossible, it's a concept. We need more what ifs programs, like animation stars, like Marvel What Ifs, one of my favorite series because it's so freaking brilliant. Like I want a Star Wars What If so freaking bad, but it needs to be introduced into more franchises like this. I want to see Harry Potter What If. Like, what if Severus was placed in Gryffindor? I was so curious about the ramifications of little things that would be so different. Harry Potter, DC. I mean, it's like obviously DC as well. Lord of the Rings, I would see it in. What other big franchises? Gosh, there's so many. I can't think of them right now, but that needs to be more.
incessant bullying at the hands of James Potter, Sirius Black, and the Marauders. Snape ended up joining the Death Eaters along with other Slytherins from his year,
It could be
and
argued
Snape
that
acted as a double
James
agent
Potter's
during the Wizarding
bullying
War. Amazingly,
pushed
for the duration
Severus
of the
to the dark
Wizarding War,
side.
he was able to stop Voldemort from reading his mind, which is a testament to his power as an Occlumens. It was clear that Snape was very talented from a very young age, and while learning his primary course material at Hogwarts, he would scribble in his notebook and invent curses, charms, and potions. Under the alias the Half-Blood Prince, Snape would scribble these into his potions textbook, which contained many powerful spells. Some of these spells include Levicorpus, the Muffliato Charm, Vulnera Sedentor, and Sectum Sempra, which, if cast on an enemy, is like slashing them all over their body with an invisible sword. If you ever had any doubt in your mind at all regarding Snape's power, it's worth mentioning that he was even recognized to be a powerful wizard by Lord Voldemort himself. Snape was only 38 years old when he died, but in the time that he was alive, he showed so much promise.
When you have
and
two
so
of the
much
greatest of all
expertise
times
in so
wanting
many
you on your
different
side,
areas, I
you're
think that
doing
if Snape
something
were to
right.
have survived the Wizarding War, he could have been one of the most powerful wizards ever. And I truly believe that he could have contended power-wise with the likes of Dumbledore and Voldemort.
Could have been a
Number
great
3.
fight.
Salazar Slytherin. Salazar Slytherin,
This is
you
obvious
might have
as well.
heard the surname, was one of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, alongside Rowena Ravenclaw, Helga Hufflepuff, and Godric Gryffindor.
My favorite, like, there's this amazing edit of TikTok that is so pointless, I just want to express it. One of my favorite edits ever is about the 4 founders of Hogwarts. And there's this amazing edit that was shared for a good while on TikTok. I bet it's still there, like, just search for it. It's of the original Narnia. The movies Narnia that Disney had made. Gosh, those amazing, beautiful movies. The 4 actors from those from Narnia were portrayed as the 4 founders, and they fit so well. The oldest is Gryffindor, the youngest is Hufflepuff, the eldest sister was It was Ravenclaw, and the youngest brother was the Slytherin. And they fit so well. It was always so fun seeing it. I need to search that up later. That was always such a fun edit. I loved it. It was so good.
Expressed that the power of the Hogwarts founders is thought to be uncomparable to most modern-day witches and wizards, and Salazar Slytherin is no exception. He was a pure-blood wizard that was born sometime before 976 AD. Given that Hogwarts was founded around 990 AD, my best guess that he would have been born sometime between 930 to 960 AD. However, given that he was immensely powerful, he may have been around for much longer than that. Slytherin did not like Muggle-born students and was a strong proponent of having only pureblood students
Well, we don't
at Hogwarts.
like you, Salazar.
This philosophy was ultimately passed on to other Slytherins. His response to Muggle-born students attending the school was to build the Chamber of Secrets, which concealed a basilisk that was intended to purge the school of these students. He felt that Muggle-borns were unworthy of studying magic. Though we don't know too
were
much
some
about
of the greatest
him, we do
wizards
know
and
that he
witches.
was extremely powerful in casting dark charms and spells, and he was notably skilled at legilimency, wand-making, basilisk breeding, and charms, having helped to create the Sorting Hat. Number 2. Merlin.
What? What? Merlin was a Slytherin? Shut up. What? There's no way. What? Next you're gonna tell me Mickey Mouse's Fantasia is number 1.
Merlin isn't alluded to much in the Harry Potter universe, but we do know a few things about him, and he is referenced in a few places. He is most often mentioned when the popular phrase Merlin's beard is used, and we know that he is the founder of the Order of Merlin,
What's this?
which is both an award bestowed upon witches and wizards who have achieved great deeds, as well as a group advocating rules which prevented spells from being used on muggles. So even though he was a Slytherin, he really wasn't such a bad guy. This just goes to show that not all Slytherins are evil. Merlin's portrait can be found on the wall in Hogwarts, as well as on a chocolate frog card.
If I had to
Merlin is
guess,
said to
Merlin
have
would
been
be
one
like
of
a
the most
Ravenclaw.
powerful wizards that ever lived,
It's
and his
Merlin.
name alone is known by every witch and wizard. Merlin was
And
alive during
Muggle-borns.
the medieval era and was a member of King Arthur's court. Hogwarts was founded
Gosh, that's another thing. Like King Arthur's court, the Arthurian age. That's actually canon in the Harry Potter world. I want to see. Oh, I want to see that so bad. I want to see that so bad.
in 990 AD, and there are a few different theories floating around in regards to the year that Merlin attended the school. Some sources indicate that Merlin was born in 982 AD, which would make him one of the very first students at Hogwarts.
Makes sense.
This would also mean that Merlin was taught directly under founder Salazar Slytherin's
Damn.
tutelage. However, this
I
is
wonder
all
what Merlin
speculation,
thought of him.
and other sources state that he was a student sometime between the 11th and
That
15th
would be a very
century.
different time for him.
I'm inclined to lean towards the former theory because I think that some of Merlin's power could be attributed to him having a teacher as powerful as Salazar Slytherin. Merlin was sorted
just that
into
good.
Slytherin House during his time at Hogwarts, and was known to be a master of charms. His skill in using charms and enchantments was so adept that he is commonly referred to as the Prince of Enchanters. But
Damn,
not
that's
only
a
was
sick
Merlin
nickname.
powerful, he was also a good guy, and as I mentioned earlier, believed in Muggle rights and wanted harmony between Muggles and the magical world. And finally,
Of
number
course.
1, Voldemort.
This was the least
Voldemort is
shocking thing.
undoubtedly one of the most powerful,
Well, after
if
Merlin.
not the most powerful dark wizard in the entire Harry Potter universe. Born Tom Marvolo Riddle in 1926, Voldemort began attending Hogwarts in 1938 and was sorted into none other than Slytherin House. Dumbledore and Voldemort are thought to possess fairly equal power, with the obvious exception of one practicing magic for good and another practicing
I
it
would
for
give
evil.
Dumbledore the
One of his
slight
earliest
edge.
acts of evil was when he opened Salazar Slytherin's Chamber of Secrets while attending the school in order to cleanse the school of Muggleborns. Even at a young age, Voldemort proved himself to be a magical prodigy, as he was able to utilize and control magic without the use of a wand. He had the power to move objects with his mind, to communicate with and control animals,
Damn it, still
and
doesn't
even
work.
inflict harm on those who opposed or annoyed him. He even left Dumbledore astonished. Voldemort performed feats of magic thought impossible, and his magical accomplishments eclipsed and dwarfed those of any dark wizard before him, with the exception of perhaps Grindelwald. Voldemort began experimenting with the dark arts at a very young age, and even began creating his first Horcrux at the age of 16, eventually splitting his own soul into a total of 8
That's
fragments.
insane.
Voldemort was also a Parseltongue, meaning he could speak to snakes, which is often an indicator that you are a descendant of Salazar Slytherin himself. Voldemort was also exceptionally skilled at occlumency and legilimency, meaning that he was an expert at penetrating the mind of others while being able to keep others out of his.
That's an unfair
Some
combo.
examples of his long list of abilities include flying, creating Horcruxes, creating spells, notably Mors Mord, which summons the Dark Mark, controlling Inferi, possessing living creatures, and transfiguration. And that's it for this list. Honourable mentions include Horace Slughorn,
That's
who didn't quite cut it, and Lucius Malfoy, who, for all of the flack that he gets, is actually quite a gifted wizard. I think that depending on the sort of skills that you value, you could rearrange some of the spots on this list, but I'm fairly happy with this outcome. I thought about rearranging the top 3, but I think there's just so much evidence to reinforce Lord Voldemort
Oh, that's
as the most powerful
unquestionable.
dark wizard
That's not even a
and Slytherin
conversation.
graduate to have ever